All right, Jon and Jim on a Tuesday. Padres are just finishing up their exhibition game. And as I said, the most meaningless game in the history of the franchise. Actually, last night, Brent, the exhibition crowd, the game for the crowd, was fantastic. Now, that might have been because FanFest was canceled on Sunday due to weather, even though there was like no weather issues.
Now, did you have to buy tickets for last night's exhibition, or how did that work?
So if you had tickets to FanFest, which I don't know if I forget if you had to buy them or not, but if you had tickets to FanFest, then you were able to get tickets to last night's exhibition
Okay.
game. Like it was like a transfer thing or whatever. And so they had like almost 40,000 people there for the exhibition game last night. Almost 40,000. They opened up their new Gallagher Square, which was, I mean, it looked pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully, I get down there this weekend, even though there's supposed to be rain. Did you see that? There's supposed to be rain this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see if it works.
In March, there's supposed to be rain.
We'll see.
Could you imagine if one of the games on their home opener weekend is rained out at Petco Park? I've only experienced one rain out, like true rain out at Petco Park.
I had one. I think it was a Saturday. I went to go early to watch BP, and it started to rain. So I just sat in the parking ramp in my car because I didn't want to get wet. And then time went by and it started to rain again. And they already threw to Ted.
Oh, no.
And so, everyone that listens to Ted knows how much Ted loves to stall. So,
he's a great staller.
He is, but he doesn't like doing it. So Ted didn't want to stall anymore, and he just threw it back to pregame, whether they were ready or not. He's just like, well, I can't stall anymore, boys. Back to you.
Dude, it's hard. Like when you have to stall, that's so hard.
Oh, well, yeah. Even like I remember when I did Brewer games, Bob Uecker would literally just come on and go, all right, it's raining. We'll check back in with you guys. His producer's name was Kent. You go, what time, Kent? All right, we'll check back in an hour, and we'll see you here. And then an hour would go by, and he'd just go, well, guys, it's still raining. What time this time, Kent? 30 minutes? All right, we'll check back in 30 minutes, guys. And then he'd just do that until they finally called the game off.
Dude, yeah, sometimes stalling is like extremely difficult, especially when you have like nothing to talk about. When you have nothing to talk about, you're like sitting there looking at the clock, waiting for it to like get to a time that you need to get to.
Well, it's one thing if like, okay, you have to stall for 10 minutes, but
that's fine.
But with like rain, it's like
you have no idea.
Yeah, you don't know how it could rain for a half an hour. You don't know how long you're going to have to go for. So
yeah, you have no idea. And this weekend, there could be some rainouts. There could be some rainouts at Petco Park. We will see there. But yeah, the Padres, the most meaningless game in franchise history, almost finished. They are 5-4 in the ninth inning. Is Robert Suarez on the mound? No, Woo-Suk Go is. He needs a little bit of work with his 11.57 ERA in spring training. Get him some work. And they'll probably announce their 40-man tomorrow. They're not going to like announce it they're 26-man. They're not going to announce their 26-man after this game. They'll probably wait till tomorrow and then they'll announce it. But yeah, Thursday is when we get going again, even though they already have a record. Isn't that weird? They already have a record. The guys already have batting averages. Guys already have ERAs, but it feels like they don't. I keep on saying Thursday's opening day. And technically it is opening day, but it's Petco Park opening day. It's not the opening day of the season.
It's weird, but for me, it's kind of normal because for every year, I don't know why MLB does this. Every year, the Cubs will open on the Thursday like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, they will have Friday off.
Why?
I don't know. Ask MLB. Because they do this every year. They'll play on opening day, and then they'll have an off day like after one game. And it's just like it doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
So this kind of feels like that, to where we had those 2 games last week, which I totally forgot about the Wednesday one. I happened to get up to go to the bathroom, and how you always check your phone right before you get back into bed. I checked my phone, and it's like, hey, coming up in 5 minutes, Padres and Dodgers. I'm like, oh yeah, that Korea thing is tonight. So then I got up and I watched like 6 innings before I fell back asleep.
See, that whole experience, man, I tell you what. So we did the 2 games in Korea, and we woke up at 3 a.m. and John, like, for game 2, he made the mistake of pretty much staying up all night.
That's hardcore for Jon.
He texted me a picture of what he was doing that night at like 1 a.m. And it just simply was, we might have a problem. Because he was the one that was campaigning hard. Like, we got to do these games. We got to do these games. I was like, all right. Well, we're definitely doing game 1. Game 2, that's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Now, for us, it was much easier because, March Madness was going on. And so because of that, we didn't have shows last week. So we didn't have to worry about our sleep schedule. Like, I could just slept all day, and that was fine. But that guy bailed on me on game 2 because he was too tired. I'm like, bro, that's your own fault. You're the one that decided that you wanted to stay out all night. And then you were the one that wanted to do this thing. So and then now you're going to bail on me? That whole thing was just, look, it was cool, I'm sure, for the players and the broadcasters and some of the media.
They got a free trip to Korea.
And, some fans that made the trip to Seoul, Korea. I bet that experience was amazing. It looked fantastic. Ha-Sung Kim was taking these guys out to, these amazing restaurants, buying them things like to get them integrated into the culture there in Seoul, Korea. It looked awesome. Never again. I'm sorry. Just please, let's not do that anymore. It just, for 95% of your fan base, it's just like, it's a lot. Now, it's cool for like a one-time thing. Maybe like a one-time thing. You're like, oh, it's pretty cool. It's cool. But then if you did like it multiple times, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? And that's kind of what happened. So I hope that if they do open up the season again overseas, it's not like, oh, we're first pitch is at 3 a.m. If first pitch was at like 6 a.m., totally doable, totally fine. But 3 a.m., that's a little bit of a problem. A little bit of a problem there. And then another problem that, you might be dealing with out there is like where to watch the Padres. There has been rumblings that we will find out tomorrow, Brent.
Okay.
The future plans of where to watch the Padres. But I don't know if it will change. Like what's going to change as far as where you can watch Padres games? Because right now, I kind of prefer it. I think it's cheaper than the what you'd have to pay to get it on like Cox or whatever, and it's pretty easily accessible. Like I can watch it on my phone easily. I can watch it on my television easily. I can watch it in any house easily. As long as I have an MLB.TV account, which I do, I can log in. I can watch it anywhere because there's no blackout restrictions.
And today is the day that if you have T-Mobile, you can get your redeem code for the free year of MLB TV. They do that every year. I think Marty also does this, but every year I get it for free. But that came out today. So if you are a T-Mobile customer, go and check the T-Mobile app. They'll have a redeem code in there so you can get the game for free or a year for free. Granted, we still have the stupid blackout stuff to go in,
right?
But at least you'll get the base package for free. So when they do announce the price line for just the straight up Padres thing, then you'll just have to get that. You won't have to get.
Do you have T-Mobile?
Yeah.
So you did it for free?
Yeah.
That's nice.
I do it every year. It's the one good thing about being a Cubs fan is I can watch all the Cubs games unless they play California teams.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I didn't realize that I was on like a automatic renewal package thing.
Oh.
And so the first 2 games of the year were on ESPN, so that was fine. But then the other night, I go to sign up for the MLB.TV thing. I type in my password, and there's no like renew thing. It's already just there. And then Aaron looks over at me and goes, I have a charge on my phone for like $100 from MLB.TV. I'm like, what? Because we did it under like her thing last year. And so then her card got charged for it instead of my card getting charged for it.
I think I'm gonna do it if it's still only gonna be $100 for the Padres. I'll probably do it because if that's like, our calculator isn't here today, but
it's less than $1 a game.
Yeah, it's gonna be like what 50-75 cents a game.
Dude, that's the whole thing is if you break it down like that, then getting the MLB.TV package is totally worth it.
I always thought that was more of a value than like the NFL, because NFL you're going to pay pretty much $30 for one game,
right?
When you break it down to where
that's what I did. I paid
I sound like Sally Struthers. For less than a cup of coffee, you can watch a Padres game.
I definitely I paid a lot for the NFL package, but when you break it down like that, it all makes sense. So tomorrow we're supposed to hear potentially from the Padres and Eric Grupner about maybe other ways to watch Padres baseball this season. But I think as of right now, there's really no issue with MLB.TV. It's simple, it's affordable, and it's much cheaper than if they attached Bally Sports to Cox or stream Direct TV or whatever. Because last time that happened, I was paying like almost $200. It's ridiculous just to watch the Padres. So we'll find out tomorrow. NFL, man, they are saying, you know what? We don't care about any other sports. We are taking over the sports calendar when our season is underway. I'll tell you what they're doing coming up next. What do they do? I'll tell you next. All right, Jon and Jim on a Thursday. Jon is on his way to Boston. I don't know if he's there yet, but he will be soon. Bryce Miller is going to be joining the show with 4:30 today. Bryce Miller, he is in Boston already. It's an early flight. So he's going to join us at 4:30 to talk about the Aztecs Sweet 16 matchup with Uconn on Thursday. Also, he was in South Korea, so we can talk about that with him. That must have been a great experience to be there, and especially with the whole Ohtani news dropping when it did. And then we'll talk about the Padres start of their season on Thursday. Again, it's not the start of their season because they already started. It's their just home opener, Jim. It's their home opener on Thursday, not the start of their season. You Darvish will get the nod there. But the NFL, Brent, like they had this past year with games on Christmas, and it was kind of one of those things where everyone said, yeah, they're going to try to take over Christmas because the ratings that they got for Christmas Day were through the freaking roof for like Jets, Dolphins or whatever. Like some of these games were not good. I think it also they had, Chiefs and Raiders was another game, but the games on Christmas this past year were really, really good as far as ratings go. And you knew the NFL was going to see that and go, how can we capitalize and how can we put games on Christmas? And I'm thinking to myself, well, guys, Christmas falls on a Wednesday this year. How are you going to do it? Oh, we're going to do it. We're just going to make the following week or the previous week, all Saturday games. So it's going to be like a faux Thursday game. Bruh. The NFL announced that they'll have a Christmas doubleheader, new streaming only games. The Christmas Day doubleheader will be happening this year on a Wednesday. That means that the previous week, all games will be played on a Saturday to give teams enough time to play on Wednesday if they're selected for the Christmas Day doubleheader.
That's just lazy.
Lazy? I mean, it's kind of smart.
You can get ratings on Christmas Day easily because there's nothing else to watch. And you can only watch Christmas Story so many times before you're going to flip over. I remember my family, like me and my cousin are like the only NBA guys in our family. But guess what? We would watch the NBA every Christmas because it's the only thing on, and not everybody, I could watch Christmas Story 2-3 times in a row, but the rest of my family isn't going to do that. So they just want something on in the background. That's why, like you said, last year with the huge ratings for the poor games, because it didn't matter, because a lot of it was just probably on in the background because there wasn't anything else on.
True, but if you're the NBA, you're sitting here thinking to yourself, how did we just get like stomped on by the NFL so quickly when the NBA, that was their day. That was like the quote unquote unofficial start of their season, even though they start like 2 months prior. But the NBA on Christmas was like, all right, here we go. And the NFL said, nah, we're taking over Christmas now.
Look, my thing with that is the reason one of the reasons why everyone loves the NFL so much is because we only get it once a week. You know what I mean? We only,
right. Well, now they're trying to get it on Sunday.
Well, exactly.
Monday,
if they get to
Wednesday,
the point where
Thursday, Saturday,
we're going to have NFL on 5 days a week, it's going to water it down to where it's not going to have that big of an impact, I don't think, because the more they give it to us, the more we're just going to become desensitized to it, I guess. Kind of the way
you think
people like with the long baseball season, they'll get super excited for like the first couple weeks, but then they'll kind of go in a lull because the season's so long and they play every day. And I just feel like if they keep trying to add more days to the NFL schedule, we're just going to get sick of it, and I think eventually it'll backfire for the NFL.
I am going to have to disagree with you on that one. I think for some people, but I think for the majority, this is a freight train that is not stopping. And the more they can add, I think the better as far as people's viewing go, from a standpoint of if you are a diehard NFL fan, you're going to want, I feel like the majority of people are going to want more. Like more. And for NFL, I mean, if there's a game every single night of the week, that's the NFL's dream. A game every single night of the week. Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night.
See, I think that would be
Saturday night.
I think that would I think people will get sick of it if they get it every day. Everyone loves pizza, but if you had to eat pizza every single day, by like the third week, you're going to be like, dude, I'll kill you for a bowl of corn pops. Just don't make me eat pizza anymore.
Well, also too, it's, I mean, their season is only, 18 games. It's not like baseball, which is 162, or basketball that's 82, or hockey, which is 82. Like 18 games, every game matters so much. And that's why I think a game every day of the week wouldn't water it down for most people because of how important each game is. If the season was like 35 games, then okay. But it's not. It's only 18. And
yeah, but they're working on that too.
Well, they're always going to be working on more.
Now they're going for 19-week season.
It's a $1 billion corporation that is going to try to be a $5 billion. I mean, it is the biggest sport in this country, and for them, they're going to take every advantage they possibly can get to make sure they drown out every other sport when their sport's on. Sunday night, Monday night, now Wednesday night with Christmas, Thursday night, Saturday night. I'm sure there'll be a Black Friday game again this year.
No, there is. I already said it.
Again, the only day of the week where there's not NFL scheduled this upcoming season is, I believe, a Tuesday, unless I'm mistaken, unless there's some random Tuesday game this year. So the NFL now has a game scheduled for every day of the week besides Tuesday for next season. Yeah. If you don't think the NFL is going to continue to do this for the foreseeable future, guess what? They are. Coming up next, the Wrap, Bryce Miller. He's also going to join us. We'll get an update on where Jon is, if he is in Boston, getting ready for the Sweet 16. Aztecs taking on Uconn. Also, Padres season right around the corner. Their home opener right around the corner. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. What the hell happened with the Padres game? They are now trailing in the bottom of the ninth inning. Looks like Woo Suk Go gave up 3 runs there. 2 of them were unearned in the top of the meaningless ninth inning. Padres now trail 7-6. Oh no. What if they lose this game, Brent? What will that mean for the rest of their season in the Vetter Cup? And oh my God, just get this game over with so we can get to Thursday. Thank you. Speaking of Thursday, Aztecs in the Sweet 16 again for the second consecutive year. They'll take on Uconn. Our pregame coverage starts at 4 p.m. with tip-off at 4:39. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples. All right, what's going on, San Diego? Jon and Jim on a Tuesday, except it's just Jim and Brent today. Jon is on his way to Boston to get ready for the Aztecs Sweet 16 game this Thursday versus Uconn. That's a quick turnaround. I didn't realize until today. I was like, oh, that was a quick turnaround. If anybody should be complaining about this whole thing, I mean, it should be San Diego State. I mean, you play the latest game, the final game of the weekend on Sunday, and then you're slated, if you win that game, to play the first game on Thursday across the country in Boston.
I think that's typically how it works, though, because if you play they won't make a team play Thursday, like back-to-back Thursday. So if you played, Thursday, Sunday, the previous round, you're going to be Friday, Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They usually that's how they switch it up, so it's kind of stays fair, so you don't have the same thing all the way through.
I mean, I get it. It's just, man, no time to really think about anything. You're just boom. You get home, you rest. Thankfully, they're in the West Coast, because if they had to fly cross country on Sunday night and then have to fly back across country on Tuesday, that would have sucked.
Well, that's the one thing about the tournament format is, though, that they knew ahead of time they're gonna play either team A or team B, so they probably started their scouting a little early. So as soon as the game on Sunday went final, they were like, okay, who do we got? And then they could just shift in, and they're probably starting game mode and everything on the flight back already.
True. And also, don't you not, like, the one thing you don't want to do is, especially for big games like this, is like wait around. You want to play like right away. Like, I bet you if you ask those guys today, maybe some of them like Jaden Ledee and guys that are like playing a lot of minutes, they would say, yeah, maybe like one more day of rest. But a lot of times, you don't want to be that second game of the day. You want to be that first game. You want to just you want to play right away. At least that's how I kind of feel some, athletes are, is they don't want to be waiting around. You don't want to be waiting around. You don't want to let the jitters and nerves get to you. You want to play right away. So playing the first game on Thursday, maybe that benefits them. I hope it benefits them. I'm trying to find any type of thing that could potentially benefit the Aztecs. Like, I'm searching everywhere. I'm searching for everything to find things that could benefit San Diego State on Thursday versus Uconn. And if it means that it helps them by being the first game, then I'll take it. But we also don't really know if that's even a factor or not. So we'll see. San Diego State, they'll get there later tonight. They'll have a practice tomorrow, and then they'll get ready to face Uconn in a us against the world Uconn team. Us against the world. Can we just think about that that's the dumbest thing ever. Us against the world. Bro, you literally won the national championship last year, and you're the number 1 seed overall in this tournament this year. It's not a us against the world. That's so cringe to hear someone say that when that team is where they are in the position that they're in.
Yeah, no, it's like I said yesterday. If you can take a bus to both your regional games, then your sites, then you have no reason to complain. It's not like, oh yeah, we're from Connecticut, but our region is in Seattle, Washington, and then they're gonna send us to San Jose. It's like, no, they're not sending you all the way across the country. It's like you can take a Greyhound to go to your game. It's like, stop complaining.
Yeah, you can sleep in your own bed. You don't have to. You literally can practice in your own gym and then take a bus from your own gym the next day to the game.
You know, I'm pretty sure that Uconn didn't leave today to go to Boston like the Aztecs did.
Nope. Guess what they're doing? They're practicing in their own gym while the Aztecs are flying across country. Think about that. So not only is Uconn getting more practice time theoretically than San Diego State, while San Diego State's on a plane. Like, oh, is it us against the world because we had more practice time than San Diego State? Like, give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Man, just one time. I just one time. If this was the only time, now again, I would have much rather chose last year as the only time to beat UConn because that was in a national title game and that'd have been like way better than just making an Elite Eight. But still, hey, if you're gonna beat them one time out of 10, why not Thursday? Why not it be Thursday? We'll see. All right, Bryce Miller, he's coming up at the bottom of the hour. He is in Boston. Also, we have a giveaway. We might do Trainwreck Radio, a little different version of Trainwreck Radio where like I'm both people's partners.
Hey, you can't lose today.
And I can't lose today, which is great. Oh my gosh, the Padres lost. What shall we ever do?
Scrap the rest of the show. Get John on the horn. We need to do an emergency wrap up.
Emergency show. The Padres lost in their final exhibition game when they were winning in the 9th inning and they blew the lead. What is going to happen for this season? What does that mean for this Padres season? It's finally over. It's finally over. Home opener on Thursday. But yeah, so we have a giveaway, a pair of tickets to see Social Distortion at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on April 17th. Don't call now. I'm just telling everybody we have those tickets during Trainwreck Radio later this hour where I will be both people's partners and I can't lose. So it's like a great day for me. So stay tuned for that. Bryce Miller, obviously at the bottom of the hour here. Back page later in the show. Got tons and tons of back page stories that I have still yet to get to. Also, Brent, it's X-Men 97 Eve.
Yes, it is.
Which is now turning into the best day of the week. Easily. Since John's here, we can talk about that later in the show as well. But Brent, let's get to it.
Fangraphs has the Padres finishing 4th in the NL West. Do you agree?
I don't agree. I am looking at what the Diamondbacks are dealing with right now to start their season with a couple key injuries to not only their closer, but Eduardo Rodriguez, their big free agent signing in the offseason. Both of those players starting on the IL. You lost Tommy Pham. We'll talk about Tommy Pham here in a second. And I think there will be a little bit of a regression for the D-backs this year after making their run to the World Series last year. So I'm going to say no. I don't think they're going to finish in 4th. Now I don't think they're going to finish in 1st either. But I think it's going to be a fight between the Giants and the Padres to see who finishes in 2nd place in the division.
I don't think they'll finish 4th.
No, I don't. Yeah.
If you look back at the last few years at the division, it's kind of weird because the Padres had that one year where they were we'll forget about the Dodgers because they're always in 1st, but the Padres had that one year where, they got 2nd, they made the playoffs and they made that playoff run. And then the Giants, the following, they had the year where they made that playoff run and never thought they were going to fall off. And then last year, the Diamondbacks came out. So it's like every year there's
it's like a rotating door of like,
yes, a 2nd place team. So where when the Padres went, all we heard was, oh, the Padres are the next big team. They're the next big team. And then they, fell off the following year and then another team stepped up. So I guess, is it the Rockies' turn to finish 2nd this year?
I'm just
joking.
shot.
They'll finish above the Rockies. I think they'll third at least, possibly second, just because the previous year's second place team has faltered the following season, like the last 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, I think whatever team stays healthiest between the Giants and the Padres and the Diamondbacks, like that's the whole key here. I think all the teams are pretty equal on paper. But it's about what team's going to stay the healthiest and who on the Padres is going to have that breakout season that they need, right? Or is it like where the Giants have a couple breakout players? I mean, they retooled their entire roster, like literally almost their entire roster, including their manager, Bob Melvin, Sleepy Bob. So I don't think they're going to finish in fourth. I would, if you told me right now, I had to choose, I would say they finish in third.
that'd be a safe bet.
Yeah. Third by like a game or two. Nothing like crazy where that one year when the Giants and the Dodgers both won like 150 games.
That's a safe bet. Get Otani's translator on the phone. Book it.
Hey, Otani, put me down for 5 dimes on that, please. Thank you.
We're good for it. We'll defer it till like 10 years from now.
Right. You won't know anything about the money transfers that are coming out of your account, so we're good. Brent, next question.
What do you think of the new NFL kickoff rule?
Okay, so for those of you listening right now wondering like, wait, NFL new kickoff rule? If you've ever watched the XFL, they put this into place, I want to say
the new version of the XFL,
right,
not the OG one
not
where they would just all
version.
like dive at a pile for the ball.
Where it was basically like fight to the death.
Yeah.
The new XFL where you had both teams line up, I want to say, is it on the 35 or is it like the 40?
See, that's where it gets weird, is certain amount of players will line up like between the 30 and the 35, and then like the kicker and one other person, they're going to be shifted all around. So it's going to be weird. I'm not a big fan of it.
But it's to increase more action for the kickoff. It's also eliminating onside kicks all in general. So if you are a team, that is down by 2 scores and you score with like 25 seconds left on the clock, you're essentially, that game's over. Like there's no chance to get the ball back unless you get like a fumble on the return. But even then, I mean, you could just kneel it as if you're the opposing team and you're fine. But the new rule is if you kick off and it bounces and then bounces into the end zone and the team doesn't take it, then I think they start at the 15. Then if the team has a touchback, they start at the 35.
It's too late, NFL. You killed the kickoff years ago.
There's
nothing you can do that's going to bring it back.
Dude, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's going to be weird. And for anybody out there wondering what the hell am I talking about, just be prepared. When you see the Hall of Fame game this upcoming year, and the first thing you see is a really, really weird kickoff where all the players are lined up facing each other, and they're on like the far end of the field and the kicker's all by himself kicking the ball. Just don't be surprised about it. It's coming. I don't know what to think of it because it eliminates the onside kick, even though the onside kick is virtually almost impossible to recover.
No one ever gets that anymore anyways.
But you've taken away that chance now. Before, the chance was like 1%. But guess what it is now? It's 0%. At least then you had a like somewhat of a chance, even though it might have been the lowest odds possible, but now it's like a flat 0.0. I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes. The NFL is tweaking things with their like hip tackles.
See, I don't like, they're like almost the opposite of, MLB's been changing rules the last couple of years that have, for the most part, I think benefited the sport. And NFL's like, oh yeah, you can't tackle like this no more. And oh yeah, now we're going to do these weird kickoffs. And
dude, that tackle rule is going to be a disaster.
If you're a defender,
disaster. Because when you have now made another rule up for judgment calls,
well, and you're you're gonna turn every offensive player into Derrick Henry pretty much, because now the smaller players, they're not going to be able to just put their weight on and just tackle like that. So
and another thing too, I mean, the 2 judgment calls now in the NFL. Well, actually, there's 3: the pass interference, the sacking of a quarterback, right, and then now the hip tackle. Dude, it's going to be a disaster. Could you imagine in like the Super Bowl next year, Patrick Mahomes gets sacked, but they call a 15-yard penalty because it's a hip tackle. And it's like, what are we doing here?
It's going to happen. It's going to be like that year they changed the pass interference rules, and like for the first 4 weeks is like everybody got called for pass interference. I think the first month is just going to be show, and it's just going to be sloppy, and then they'll figure it out eventually, but it's just a matter of how long it takes for them to get it.
Dude, it's going to be bad.
If I was a defender in that league, I'd be pissed.
The defenders are pissed.
Every year it's like, you guys keep rigging the game to favor the offense and hinder us, and
now we're even more like, what's going on here? It's ridiculous. Next question, Brent.
How many points does Jaden Ledee need to score Thursday for the Aztecs to win?
I would say minimum 25 plus.
See, I'd say 28.
I mean, if he gets that 25 mark, like 25 and 8, it's not about scoring. It's about his efficiency. So if he scores 25 points, but he goes, 7 for 24 from the field, that's not great. That means that it was a struggle for him to get to 25 plus points. And it's just, I don't think, if you show me that line, if he scored like 26 points and he went 7 for 20 from the field, or 7 from like 22 from the field, and I'd be like, that's a struggle. But if he goes like 7 for 14 from the field with like 27 points, that means he got to the free throw line a lot. He got a lot of fouls called, which is what you're going to need to do in this game. And I would say the Aztecs have a chance. Now, again, he could score 30 points in this game and they can still lose by 15. That's just how good Uconn is. But Jaden's going to need to be All-American Jaden in this game. They can't have Jaden be 15 and 11. Like, he needs to be, like you said, Brent, probably 28 and 9 for them to have a shot in this game.
That's what I was thinking. 28-9, 28-10, get another double-double.
Yep. He has to be that All-American player in this game. The efficiency has to be at a high level, like it was against Yale. I mean, if he makes a couple threes, that'd be nice. That'd be great. He's a 40% free 3-point shooter this year, even though he's only shot a couple, like not that many threes, but still 40%. Made 2 versus Yale.
He never had a made 3 until this year.
I know he didn't, which is amazing. But he's going to have to be All-American Jaden Ledee in this game for them to have a shot. All right, Brent, final question.
What are you most concerned about with the Padres heading into the season on Thursday?
Lack of depth. The fact that they still have no left fielder. The fact that they have no DH. And the fact that their bench is really bad. That's what I'm most concerned about. Yes, the pitching definitely is the top of everyone's list as far as things that have to go right for them to win this year, but they have the pieces in place for the pitching, for the starting rotation at least. I feel like the bullpen, it's going to be an adventure to get to Robert Suarez. Now, if Robert Suarez pitches like he did in Korea, huge. That was electric stuff in Korea. 4-out save. Didn't see many 4-out saves last year or the year before that, but you get a 4-out save in game 2 of the season from Robert Suarez, throwing that type of filth up there. The bridge is going to be a issue. But to me, it's still the holes in this lineup, the offense. That's still the offense.
Yeah. For me, it's the offense
until we see this team actually turn it around and be way more consistent with runners in scoring position, and not a team that completely just, goes out there and looks like they've never played baseball before.
Don't go out there and hit 180 in extra innings
and also, like have good at bats. Like, what a concept, right? Have professional at bats.
Manufacture runs,
but also not get shut out by no-name pitchers would be nice. So
that's why I'm a little more worried about the offense than I am the pitching, because, let's say you or Musgrove goes out there and pitches a, 8-inning, 2-run game.
amazing game, right?
But then the offense comes out and
Scores
lays
one
an
run.
egg and scores 1 run and gets 3 hits for the whole game and just wastes it.
Right. And we don't know the identity of this team at all. Those 2 games in Korea, while I thought they outplayed the Dodgers and I thought at times they looked really good, you can't really take much from it. Like
No.
15 runs in Korea, I don't think that translates too much to the States.
No, that'd be like when they went to Mexico City that one year.
Right.
And, a pop fly to second base was like
a home run.
a Mark McGwire
home run. Yeah. So we don't know the identity of this team. We don't know what this team is going to be like this season. I think they have some pieces in place. I feel confident, but I don't feel as confident with all the holes in their roster. Like I said, 86 wins. I think 86 wins is very doable for this team, but still that means a lot of things are going to have to go right for them. That 86 win mark is still a mark that would mean that they have relatively good health all year. They have the stars be the stars, and they have the pitching staff, the Cease, Musgrove, and Darvish be that 1, 2, 3 that, you need it in a rotation. If you can get the type of starting pitching you got in 2022 that got them to 89 wins, then yeah, 86 wins is doable. But there is still that player out there, Brent, that would be nice to have on this roster. I don't know why they haven't signed Tommy Pham yet. Does anybody know what Tommy Pham is doing? And if Tommy Pham's potential deal would be a 1-year, $3 million deal, like, what are we doing here? Sign Tommy Pham. Why are we waiting? It's one thing if Jackson Merrill was your left fielder, but he's not. He's your center fielder. You're not even playing Graham Pauley. You're not playing Jacob Marcy. He's not going to be on this 26-man roster to start the year. You're playing Jerkson Profar. So you chose Jerkson Profar over Tommy Pham, a couple $1 million. That's what essentially you're saying here. Tommy Pham, maybe you get him for $3-4 million, but hey, Jerkson Profar for $1 million. Again, Tommy Pham's out there.
It makes me wonder if maybe there's something else to it. Maybe he's really not the awesome clubhouse guy that people say he is.
Or maybe he's just too set on a number that the Padres will not meet.
But yeah, I just feel like if it's just as simple as 1 year, $3 million, they would have done it. And the fact that they didn't do it yet makes me think that there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, that's, it's even if he comes out and has a dog-ass year for that money, who cares?
Yeah,
it's not like you're, giving him $15 million to go out and do that.
Right. Maybe his number was at 10 million to start this offseason. But if it's down to 3 or 4, I mean,
I don't see other clubs calling up Tommy's phone either.
That is true. That is true. No other team has called Tommy Pham.
If that was the case you could get him for 1 year, $3-4 million, and you're thinking at least 1 or 2 other clubs would be like, hey, let's throw a flyer out on Tommy Pham. Let's just see what he says.
Again, I don't know what the Padres are waiting for. I don't know what the deal with Tommy Pham is, but from looking from the outside in, Tommy Pham would be on this roster with me if I was the GM yesterday, ready for opening day, or at least almost ready for opening day. So we'll talk more about that. But coming up next, Bryce Miller, who is in Boston for the Aztecs Sweet 16 game versus Uconn. He'll join us coming up next. All right, coming up next, Bryce Miller joins us in Boston to talk about the Aztecs taking on UConn. We'll talk to him coming up next. You by Staples Stores, the final exhibition game of the season for the Padres today at Petco Park. They lost to the Mariners 7-6. They had a 1-run lead in the ninth inning, but Seattle scored 3 runs off Woo Suk Go in the most meaningless loss in franchise history. Now, opening day at Petco Park will be on Thursday as Darvish will take the mound for the Padres. 1:10 first pitch there. Of course, we will be at the Blind Burrow for a watch party on Thursday. And the Aztecs, they are in Boston or on their way to Boston as they'll be taking on UConn in the Sweet 16 this Thursday. 4 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts. 4:39 tip-off time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples. All right, back on Jon and Jim. Jon is on his way to Boston for the Aztecs Sweet 16 game this Thursday versus UConn. But Bryce Miller, he's already in Boston, getting ready for the Aztecs game this Thursday. Bryce, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, doing all right on a kind of a rainy night, cold night in Boston.
Yeah, it's supposed to be rainy here in San Diego this weekend, so maybe you're taking the rain wherever you go. But hopefully it doesn't rain this weekend for the Padres, and it won't matter on Thursday for the Aztecs. But before we get to the Aztecs, Bryce, you were in Seoul, Korea, correct?
Right.
How was that whole experience for you with being in Korea and the Padres playing there? How was that whole experience for you?
Well, I mean, there's kind of the personal piece of it and the professional piece, and both were great. Just an opportunity to to experience that part of the world a little bit. Seoul is an amazing place, almost to a person, whether it was people involved with the Padres or fans that you ran into or other media members. The food was great. It's got to be one of the cleanest cities in the world, of anywhere close to that size I've ever seen. Which is just kind of an aside, but as I think about Seoul, I think of that too. But just to see the Padres and the Dodgers play a couple of games, there was nothing normal about it. It wasn't, in a stadium the size that either of those teams play in. The environment wasn't the same. The ball didn't travel the same. I mean, Ohtani, those 3 balls to the track that Fernando tracked down, those were all long home runs in Mexico City last year. I mean, none of those would have even gotten close to staying in the park. So, but it also tells you how far Machado hit his, because a lot of guys hit balls to the track. But it's, on a lot of different levels, it was just different baseball. And I think Padres have to feel pretty good about getting out of there with the split. And but it'll start to feel like real baseball, and a little bit of rhythm to it this week.
Yeah, for sure. Padres open up here on Thursday versus the Giants. And, when they traded for Dylan Cease, did your opinion on this year change at all? Or is it just like, okay, that's a piece they needed, but I still think that they were going to do X, even though, Dylan Cease wasn't in the equation until now?
Yeah, my opinion did change. I mean, not overwhelmingly, not dramatically, that all of a sudden they're going to contend in the NL West, or they're a 94 win team. Just the fact that you have an established starter who has a track record, especially after last year, Darvish and Musgrove both had injuries. There just didn't feel like there was enough proof. Well, there wasn't enough proven, depth in the rotation, and so he gives you that at the start. As long, health is always the asterisk with any of these guys. But you're asking Michael King, who hasn't been stretched out to a lot of innings, that this is kind of a new territory for him, other than how he finished with the Yankees last year. And now you're not asking him to be a 3, you're asking him to be a 4, and that's the kind of thing that I think changed the opinion, is that they're lengthening that rotation in a way that I think gives them a chance. And until they made that move, they were one injury away from, I don't know that the team survives that rotation at that point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Their margin for error just got a little wider with Dylan Cease in the mix now. Bryce Miller joining us from Boston. He'll be there for the Aztecs Sweet 16 matchup versus Uconn on Thursday. Before we get to the actual game, I just want to get your opinion on what this program has accomplished the last 2 years. I mean, back-to-back Sweet 16s for this school. It's something they've never done before, and Brian Dutcher is leading the way. Just how, I know we're still in it, and there's still a game on Thursday, but to put it in perspective, just what they've accomplished, it's something that, is incredible.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, last year going to the national title game is, it speaks for itself. But I think almost more impressively, they came back and got to the Sweet 16 this year, because everyone has short memories. But if you go back farther than these 2 seasons, all the way back to 3 and 4 and 10 seasons ago, kind of the knock on San Diego State is they were going to win the Mountain West most every year in the regular season. They were going to have a shot to win the Mountain West tournament most every year, but they could not get to that second weekend in March consistently. And to do it back to back, and build on, if they come into this tournament this year and, they look bad, they play one game and they're out. There's that traction of last year gets a little farther fast. I think to do it in back-to-back years, that's the level that I think Steve Fisher expected this program to be on, at, is not just getting there, but doing some damage in the tournament. And really the measure is, because really good teams struggle to make the Sweet 16 or barely make the Sweet 16. So anything from here is gravy for almost anybody in this tournament. We've seen so many, upsets and underdogs over the years kind of wreak havoc with the bracket. But for them to do it 2 years in a row and get to this space, I think it helps them recruit. I think it, especially in a really tricky landscape to do that with NIL and transfer portal and all those things you have to navigate now. Something like this in back-to-back seasons, especially if they can beat the number one overall seed in the tournament 2 seasons in a row, I think would be huge for them in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryce Miller joining us from Boston, getting ready for the Aztecs Sweet 16 matchup versus Uconn. Speaking of Uconn, they're, I would say, a little, maybe much better team than Alabama was last year when the Aztecs faced the number one overall seed in the tournament. For you, yeah. I mean, what's it going to take on Thursday? Is this something that they're going to need a lot to go right for them to win, or could they pull an upset like they did last year versus Alabama?
Yeah, they need a lot to go right. I mean, I think that's just a fact. And I agree with you that this number one overall seed Uconn team is better than that number one overall seed Alabama. I mean, they had a ready-made NBA player, but Tristan Newton's, first team All-American level guy. But their depth is what is so concerning. I mean, they don't have a 20-point scorer. Newton's their high scorer with not even 15 and a half again, but they've got 5 guys in double figures. The Aztecs have 1. That's Jaden Ledee. And then you got 3 guys bunched in that 9 range. But just their quality depth and the size, Donovan Clingan, he's huge. They wear down teams because of that depth. And, they prove that they can get you with the numbers. They don't need one guy to score 30 points. They're going to beat you with the 5 guys who scored 12 to 16. And so that quality depth is what really sets UConn apart. And offensively, this will be an incredible test for San Diego State's defense. That reputation is well earned over a number of years, but this team, UConn, can really score it.
Yeah, and not only they're facing the number one overall seed, hey, just go play in Boston, across the country, and make this as hard as we possibly can. Like, even though Dan Hurley thinks that, it's us versus the world mentality for UConn, which I just don't understand his logic at all. He might have to, do that for his own team's purpose, but for everyone on the outside, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, just make it as hard as possible. Go to Boston. As Dutch said, it's the UConn Invitational. So we'll see how they fare on Thursday. 4:39 tip-off time here on San Diego Sports 760. Bryce will be there. Bryce, again, thank you for joining me. Have a safe trip back and enjoy the game.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
All right, Bryce. Bryce Miller joining us from Boston there. Coming up next, call right now, 877-767-4760. Again, the number, 877-767-4760. We are giving away a pair of tickets to see Social Distortion at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on April 12th with special guest Bad Religion. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Again, that number, 877-767-4760. We are playing a game, so if you're calling in, you just want to win tickets, you're going to have to play Trainwreck Radio with me coming up next. All right, coming up next, your chance to win some tickets to the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater to check out Social Distortion. We'll play Trainwreck Radio coming up next. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Jon on his way to Boston. He should be there fairly soon. I've texted him, so whenever I get a text back, I texted him some stuff that he definitely will react to. So whenever he texts me back, as I know when they land, and whenever they land, we will. We won't check in with Jon. Actually, we're not going to check in with Jon, but Jon will be joined tomorrow on his own show from his hotel room. Thursday. Again, Thursday is going to be this crazy, wild day here on San Diego Sports 760. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, they'll be on from 6 to 10 a.m. And then from 10 to 1 p.m. will be Darren and Marty from the Blind Burrow, getting you ready for Padres baseball. From 1 to 4, I'll be having a watch party down at Blind Burrow. Also, we'll be on the radio as well. Also, we'll be on YouTube as well, giving away some special giveaways. Got some Jon and Jim swag. Got Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead. Also got some Padres backpack as well. So we're having a little watch party down at Blind Burrow. And then 4 o'clock hits pregame for the Aztec game. Jon in Boston, bringing you up to tip-off at 4:39. San Diego State takes on the Uconn, a rematch of last year's national championship game. Of course, you can hear that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And then, it's not over yet. And then, Friday, starting at noon, and I think every single Friday for home games this year, starting at noon, Darren and Marty will be live at the Naughty Barrel downtown, followed by Jon and Jim starting at 3 p.m. Now, Friday is also a little weird day because starting at 4 p.m., we have March Madness. So just going to be an hour of me on Friday from 3 to 4. But once we get into the regular season and things start to get more normal, every Friday for home games, Naughty Barrel from noon to 6. Darren and Marty, me and Jon, come check us out. Come hang out. Food, beer, get ready for the game. It's going to be a fun time. All right, Brent, let's get to it.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Normally, you would have to pick between John
One
and
contestant,
Jim.
1 lifeline.
But yeah, since there's no John today, everyone gets Jim.
Yay.
So Alex, since you called in first, Alex will get to go first, and then Nick, you will go second.
All right. So what's the question today, Brent?
All right, guys. Today's question, we talked about a little bit with the NFL making rule changes to kickoffs. Well, there's been 10 players with at least 13 or more return touchdowns. Now, I have to preface, return touchdowns includes kickoffs, punt returns, interceptions, and fumbles. Any type of return touchdown is on this list.
This is like all time?
All time.
All time. All right.
There's 13 players in NFL history, or there's 10 players that have at least 13 or more return touchdowns. Like I said, that's kickoffs, punts, interceptions, and fumbles. So today's question, name any of those 10 players.
Okay, Alex, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have your lifeline, which is me, if you want to use it.
Hey, guys. Hey, I'm going to go with Devin Hester to start.
Devin Hester, very good guess. Hall of Famer this year.
He is number 1.
Nick, you're up next. What is your first guess? And I am your lifeline if you want to use
Cordell Patterson.
Cordell Patterson. Is he on the list? Oh, no Cordell Patterson.
He would be on the list if it was only for kickoffs, but not total.
Oh, okay. Okay. Alex, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline still if you want to use it.
What about Deion Sanders?
What about Deion Sanders? He is on the list. Good job there. Nick, you're going to need this to stay in the game here. What is your second guess? And you do have your lifeline, which is me.
Lifeline.
If you, okay. See, the 3 names that I had have already come off. 10 players with 13 or more return touchdowns, kickoff, punt return, interceptions. Oh crap. I don't. This is gonna be tough because I'm trying to think of like a. Yeah, I'm drawing a fat blank here. I'm gonna go with I have a name in mind. It's either Morton Hanks. You know what? Oh, I got it. I'm an idiot. Ed Reed. Do you take that?
Sure.
Dude, that came out of nowhere. All right. Woof. I was gonna say like Morton Anderson. I was gonna say Morton
Anderson.
No.
I don't think he ever returned one.
I don't know
He
why
kicked
that
it to
name was
himself
popping
and
in
then
my
he
head.
ran
He's
it
a
back.
kicker, you idiot. Alex, you could win the game right here with the correct answer. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
I'm going to need a lifeline, man. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, dude.
I struggled with mine.
I just gave you Ed Reed. Oh man. Dude, I am dude. Trying to think of like I don't know why I'm thinking of. Oh, you know what? Charles Woodson?
Do you take that?
Do you take that?
Did you say, was it Darren Woodson?
No, Charles
Woodson.
Woodson. Maybe Darren Woodson. Is he having a player? I don't even know. Do you take Charles Woodson?
Charles Woodson. Oh, Charles Woodson. Oh, man, that's a tough one. I'm going to say he's not on the list for this one.
All right, then it's up to you. What are you going to say? You have to pick a player.
Oh, I see. I got you. So I'm going to go with it. Let's go with Charles Woodson.
All right. Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
Alex wins. Alex, congratulations. Where was Charles? Dude, you know what I thought of? I thought of the San Diego Super Bowl when the Raiders were playing the Bucks. And for some reason, I'm like, interceptions, because I was trying to think of quarterbacks.
I think you were thinking of Rod Woodson of the Steelers.
But I said Charles Woodson.
Well, Charles, they're both right answers, but the first time you're kind of like, not Charles Woodson is so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Rod Woodson is also on the list.
Yes, he's also on the list. Devin Hester's number 1. He's got 20 return touchdowns.
Of course,
Deion's 2. He had 19. Rod Woodson from the Steelers, he had 17. Rondé Barber, he had 14.
So
Brian Mitchell,
okay,
from the team formerly known as the Redskins. He had 13. Ed Reed had 13. Woodson had 13. Convict Aaron Sharper had 13, and then Aeneas Williams. I can't get into him, but Aeneas Williams that used to play for the Cardinals, he had 13 too.
Okay, that's great. So, Alex, congratulations. You have won a pair of tickets to see. I can't do it. This is a hard thing to say.
Social Distortion.
Tickets to see
It's called
Social Distortion at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on April 12th with special guest Bad Religion. Congratulations to Alex there. All right, coming up next, San Diego State, Uconn. What does San Diego State need to do on Thursday to take down the big, bad, mighty Uconn Huskies? Also, Tommy Pham, he's kind of still out there. It'd be nice if Tommy Pham was on the Padres. What are the Padres waiting for? Opening day at Petco Park right around the corner. Hour number 3 coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores, the final exhibition game of the year for the Padres. Spring training is over. They lost today to the Mariners in the most meaningless game ever, 7-6. Seattle wins the fake Vetter Cup this year. Padres will open their season at Petco Park, their home opener, on Thursday at 1:10 p.m. Darvish on the mound for the Padres against Logan Webb for the Giants. Moving over to the Aztecs, they're on their way to Boston, where they'll take on Uconn this Thursday at 4 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts. 4:39 tip-off time there. Of course, you can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples. Hour 3 on Jon and Jim. Jon is en route to Boston right now for the Aztecs Sweet 16 game versus Uconn. I'm holding down the fort along with Brent for the rest of the week. Jon will be joining tomorrow. And then Thursday, of course, we have the Aztec game and opening day, and we'll be at Blind Burrow starting at 1 p.m. for a special watch party down there. Got some cool giveaways, got some cool drink and food specials. So if you can't make it to Petco Park and you just want to be down there, close to the action, with the vibes are going to be through the roof, come on down and hang out with me at Blind Burrow starting at 1 p.m. The games will be on. I got some special giveaways. Got some Jon and Jim swag. Have a couple margaritas. The Blind Burrow, their bowls they have there, fantastic. They got shrimp tacos. They have calamari. They have giant nachos.
The street corn.
Street corn.
That's my favorite.
It's fantastic. Me and you went there for Comic-Con.
Yeah, take a note, Blind Burrow. You need a bigger serving bowl for the street corn.
The street corn
was awesome.
Always elite. It's always good. So we'll be down there on Thursday. And then Friday we'll be at Naughty Barrel. That's a new location for us. We were not at Naughty Barrel last year. Last year, we were only at Blind Burrell downtown for home games. But this year, for Fridays, we will be at the Naughty Barrel downtown starting at noon. Now, Friday's a little different because since we carry every March Madness game right here on San Diego Sports 760, we have more Sweet 16 games starting at 4 p.m. on Friday as well. So on Friday, it will be noon to 3. Will be Marty and Darren, and then I'll be there from 3 to 4. And then I'll be making my way down to Petco Park for the baseball game there. So come hang out with us Thursday and Friday. We'll all be downtown, San Diego Sports 760. It's gonna be a fun time. The Aztecs, Bryce Miller hit on it, just like what they've accomplished these past 2 years. We're probably not going to see kind of like the fruits of their labor, right, for another couple seasons, maybe down the road. Maybe it's longer than that. Maybe it's sooner than that. Maybe the Reese Waters transfer doesn't happen if they don't make the national championship game last year. Maybe it's already happening in real time and we just haven't really fully seen it yet, right? With recruiting and everything and enrollment and just the overall brand of San Diego State basketball growing as a whole by what they've accomplished over the last 2 seasons. And it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Being in the Sweet 16 back-to-back years, being in a national championship game last year with, I think it was like 15 million people watching. It was one of the highest rated, it's the highest viewed sports games of the year last year. Take away the Super Bowl, obviously. But it's been fantastic. You don't want to fall into the trap, though, of just being like, oh, that was good. We'll settle for that. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. From here on out, it truly is gravy. It really is. But just to be like settling, I don't like that mentality of just like, oh, we'll just settle. Like, no, go out there and screw it. Go beat UConn. Right? Go out there and shock everybody. Now it's different because the feeling of it this year does not feel like it last year. Last year,
Because last year the world wasn't out to get UConn.
Right. Last year, it was you're facing a team you could definitely poke holes in that team for sure. Just the vibe around it, the Brandon Miller fiasco saga there. It just for a team that it's been Alabama's been in the Sweet 16, and now they're back-to-back years. But my point is, if you're trying to compare last year's run to the Final Four, the national championship game, because of the seedings that have happened, with a 12 seed followed by blowing out a 13 seed, followed by taking on the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, like, oh, it's defined fate. Let me just say that this UConn team is much better than last year's Alabama team. Much better.
Yeah, definitely.
And some would say, a lot of people would say, probably, that last year's Aztec team is better than this year's Aztec team. They might have a better overall player with Jaden Ledee, but the depth of last year's team, I mean, Brent, you know it. Like their bench, Adam Seiko, Jaden Ledee, Micah Parrish. Who else is coming off their bench? I forget. Like they were just so deep. It was wild. Like Dutch is like, dude, last year's team, we had good players on our bench, but we couldn't even play them because of how deep this roster was. This year's team, not as deep. They have maybe better scorers out there overall, but they're such a hot and cold team. Dutch even said after the Yale game, he's like, yeah, we weren't dysfunctional out there. Like we actually made our 3-pointers. We actually shot the ball well. We actually look like a real basketball team, like can shoot the ball. Because a lot of times the team can't shoot.
Well, that's going to be the biggest thing is against teams like UConn, they're not going to be able to afford to go through a 5-minute stretch of only making free throws and no field goals.
The only way they can afford to go through their patented 5-minute drought without scoring is if they're like, up by 20, like 25, because they can afford, like, I think they might have done that versus Yale, but they were blowing them out. It didn't matter, and could their defense hold UConn if they go through a 5, 6, 7-minute scoring drought? Maybe, but you don't want to take that chance. It's good. You have two teams that both are slow teams. And by slow teams, I mean they like to run their half-court offenses. They don't like to get up and down the court. They don't like to go try to score 110 points a game, even though UConn definitely has the ability to do that. They like to slow it down. And what they do in the half court is going to be everything. So Thursday, rematch, you don't get these opportunities much. You don't. If you are a college athlete, last year's team, it might have been years before San Diego State played UConn again. Years, and now they get them this back-to-back years. That's kind of crazy. That's like one of those situations that you can only kind of dream of. Like, hey, they lost last year in the national title game. How can we avenge that loss as fast as possible? Oh, let's face them in the Sweet 16 the next following year.
That's why I think it's kind of funny how they're not really mentioning that. I kind of touched on it yesterday. If this was UConn playing North Carolina in a rematch of the finals,
everybody would be talking about it.
We'd be hearing about it so much we just want to puke. But now they're not even bringing it up.
Nope.
They mentioned a couple times they would refer to the Aztecs as the last year's national runner-up, but they're not doing that when they're hyping up the game.
No.
I haven't seen any commercials for the game this week about how, hey, a rematch of last year's national final.
And it's one of the first games of the Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend, which, okay, that was already scheduled that way, but that doesn't take away from just how cool it is. Like the storylines there and everything going into this game. You want to take that. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best, as Ric Flair would say.
If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo, woo. And facing UConn on Thursday, that's what's going to happen. That's it. You're facing the best. And it's not the best by a little. It's kind of the best by a lot. All their metrics, they're the best team in college basketball. Easily. You got one of the best players in college basketball, in Jaden Ledee. You faced them last year. You're not going up against a team that you haven't seen, right? This is all familiar stuff for most of those guys, for all of those guys, actually. Even though Miles Heide wasn't there, I don't know if he was going to play much of that game. But, Bird, Saunders, they were there. They just didn't play. But still, they were there. So they have gone through the prep. They've gone through the walkthroughs, everything, leading up to last year's national championship game. And now you get a second crack. And we'll see is if UConn is on their way to win their second national title in a row, first team since Florida, or can San Diego State pull off just a massive, massive upset? Would you consider, all right, let's say this, Brian. Let's think way far ahead. If San Diego State beats UConn, that's a bigger upset than last year them beating Alabama, right?
Yeah, because I think UConn's the number 1 overall seed. I don't think Alabama was the number. Were they the number 1 overall?
They were.
I would say so, yes, just because, we didn't have idiot pundits on the mothership talking about how, Alabama would beat the Knicks this year and stuff like that. Like, they did yesterday. So
yeah. Last year, beating Alabama, beating the number 1 overall team in the country, the number 1 overall team in March Madness. I think that was the first time this program has beaten the number 1 overall team. That was considered the best win in Aztec history. And then, of course, you get to the Elite Eight. That was then considered the best win in Aztec history. And then you get to the Final Four. And then that was considered the best win in Aztec history. I would have to argue if they beat UConn this Thursday. I know it's not to get to a Final Four or win a national championship. But it'd be hard. I'd be hard pressed to say that's not the best win in Aztec history if they happen to get past UConn this Thursday. Would you agree? Or would you say no because it's a Sweet 16 game and not in the Final Four in a national championship?
I'd say no, just because it's not the Final Four to go to the national championship.
No, and
Elite Eights are big. Don't get me wrong.
No, and look, I kind of agree with that. Like I'm just looking at like the team if they happen to beat them.
Yeah, it would be one of the bigger upsets in school history, but I don't think it wouldn't eclipse, the Butler shot game. I don't think.
No. It wouldn't not eclipse that game, but this UConn team that they're facing on Thursday is much better than that FAU team last year in the Final Four.
Oh yeah, they're probably better than Alabama and FAU put together.
That's my point, is that every team that San Diego State beat last year in the tournament, this UConn team's better than all of them. So that's my point. I know the timing of the game, which is a Sweet 16 game, right? But the team that they're facing is one of the best teams that they've faced in the last 2 years. Probably the best team they faced in the last 2 years. I mean, last year's UConn team in the national championship game, some are saying that this year's team might be better than last year's team. We'll find out. But if they win on Thursday, that could be probably one of the best wins not probably, it would be one of the best wins in program history. There's a lot that will need to happen for that to happen. Like, they're going to need to play a fantastic game. They're going to need a lot of things to go right. Jaden Ledee is going to have to go, super sane out there. He's going to need to go at least 28-9. You're going to need to hit your threes. You're going to need to hit your free throws. You're going to need to get that big rebound, right? You're going to need virtually almost everything to go right for you. We all know that. But to think it's impossible, I can't sit here and say it's impossible. There's a shot. It's going to be tougher than last year to beat the number 1 overall seed. But they have a lot of the same pieces that last year's team did. And that's what gives you hope. If this Aztec team was completely different, right? Getting the Sweet 16, like if they didn't have any of the same players they had last year, it was a completely different team, right? Say Jaden Ledee was not on the team last year. Darion Trammell didn't hit that big free throw against Creighton. Lamont Butler wasn't on the team, didn't hit that big shot against FAU last year. Like if the entire team was different, would you feel less confident about this game? Or would you feel like, how would you feel? Because I feel with the experience they have, which Dutch talked about after their first round win over UAB, it matters. Like, experience is something. It plays some role. We'll find out how much of a role it plays on Thursday. But I feel like the experience is also part of this matchup.
Yeah, I'd have a little less confidence if this was a new group that's, never been there before, never been in, this big of a situation before. Is, kind of like Barkley was ripping on the Grand Canyon. Who is it? Was it Grand Canyon Alabama game this weekend about how sloppy it was?
Oh, so sloppy.
I can't remember. It was either Kenny or Clark Kellogg said that they thought that maybe the situation was just got too big, to where the players were just like, oh, I have to do something big today to help my school get to someplace we've never been before. And that just put added pressure, because then you had a whole team of guys that were just like, no, I'm going to be the guy that's going to take us up there. And because they've never been in that, high pressure of a situation before. So if we didn't have returning guys from last year, I'd probably be a little more worried, but they've been through this before. And like I said, they have the extra motivation of, you can't tell me in the back of their minds that they weren't like
pissed off.
We want another shot at UConn.
Yeah. We want to go through UConn.
Everyone, and everyone last year that didn't watch the final game, that just looked at the box score and went, oh, well, they lost by 12 or what. It was a 5-point game with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. So they were in position. They just, UConn went on a run at the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. So what this Aztec team has that every other Aztec team facing UConn, last year you gained experience getting to the national title game, but this team especially has that experience. And I think that plays a role. It has to, knowing that they've been in every situation, up big, down big, close game, right? They've seen it all. The core of this team has seen it all. Flip side is UConn has as well, but I'm that's fine. I don't care what I'm go into the game knowing San Diego State has experience. They have the core from last year still there. They have one of the best players in the country. They have a nothing to lose mentality, which I think is the best mentality to have when you're going into these types of games in the tournament. Because if you are the team with everything to lose, man, do you get tight if that thing is close down the stretch.
Oh, that has to be like the only reason that I can come up with of why stupid Hurley keeps going, oh, the whole world's out to get us. Because if he doesn't say that, then it's just they could get too full of themselves.
There's an opportunity for them to slip up.
Hearing everyone tell them how great they are and how you should just beat every team in the tournament by 30 points. If instead of them, believing their own hype, he's going to, create this conspiracy narrative to where, everyone's out to get us. And the NCAA, they set up this bracket on purpose to make it as hard as possible to make it so that we don't get back to the championship game, because they hate UConn so much.
Yeah. Do we have Brian Dutcher from today?
Yeah.
So right before they took off to Boston, by the way, they have landed. John is texting me. That means they have landed. They're in Boston. It is 8:20 Boston time. But Dutch talked to the media about facing UConn and the atmosphere they're going to face with it essentially being a home game for UConn in Boston.
Excited to get off to Boston. The good news is we're not playing the Celtics. The bad news is we're playing UConn. So we're up for the challenge. It's like playing a road game. I'm sure it'll be packed with UConn fans. Our Aztec faithful will travel and as best they can, but we're ready for the challenge. We're looking forward to it and try to come out of there with a couple of victories.
How do you game plan for a rematch against a team that strong? Do you know what they do?
Yeah, I mean, as much as the teams played each other a year ago, a lot of new pieces on both teams, which will make it interesting. Last year, obviously, we had it to 5 points with about 5 minutes to go, and then they spurted us on the end for the final margin. And, if we can keep it close and give ourselves an opportunity to win the game at the end, I think I like our chances.
They're big man. What kind of challenge does he present?
It's 2 big men. That's the problem. If you get the first one in foul trouble, they got another one just as good coming off the bench. So they're dynamic athletically, dunk everything around the rim, block shots, change the game defensively. So we're going to have to pay attention, not just try to throw shots up there, but throw good shots up there.
the hostile environment that you guys might face there. You said Uconn bringing a lot of their fans. How are you guys working to just use that almost to your advantage versus your disadvantage?
Well, hopefully Iowa State and Illinois have a lot of fans there because I know they'd rather play San Diego State than UConn. So hopefully we'll have all the fan bases there cheering for the Aztecs. But we've played in hostile environments all year. Every place we go is a sellout. So we played in these kind of environments, so I think we'll be ready for it.
Coach, the last few games, you guys struggled early in games. Not the last two. You guys came up playing pretty well. What was the difference in those games to this?
Must be doing a better job coaching. We're scoring the ball earlier. So, no, when you make shots, everything looks easier. So we made shots and got off to good starts, and hopefully that will continue against UConn.
That's funny. It's one of those things where you heard like Mike Schulte talk about when they got Dylan Cease. It's like, man, I just became a better manager today. Like when a team does well, it's always one of those like, oh, Brian Dutcher. Dutch will be the first person to say, like, I didn't do anything different. It's the guys out there that did, like the guys out there made the shots. I'm continuously doing the same things. The guys on the floor, they're the ones making me look good. And that is a great point that, you know, going to this tournament, Brent, what was one of the biggest concerns about this Aztec team? Starting out slow, because that's what they have done for the last part of their season. They've started out slow in majority of their games leading up to their first round game versus UAB. And versus UAB, they started out hot. Versus Yale, they started out hot and stayed hot. And so that is also another big key in this game is you can't start out slow versus UConn because the uphill climb for that entire game is going to be just too much. You have to start out matching UConn, or better yet, start out like you did versus Yale or UAB.
The prime example is that is the Northwestern game.
Yeah.
You know, UConn jumped all over them right off the get-go. And, you know, before they could blink, it was halftime and they were down by like
50.
20. No, it's not 50.
I know.
They lost by like 40, but at halftime they're down by like 23, 25 at half. Yeah, their hot starts in a way, you know, me and Fletch kind of joked about it when we were here doing the games that it kind of worried us because their MO all year was we're going to fall behind early and then we're going to make a big raging comeback in the second half. So when they would just start out hot in the first half is kind of like, oh God, I hope they don't like miss everything in the second half now because they made all their shots in the first half.
Well, they tried in that UAB game, but as Dutch said, their experience took over there, and that's why they won. All right, coming up next, the latest with Tommy Pham. Why is he not in a Padres uniform yet? Also, opening day at Petco Park right around the corner. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, coming up next, what's the deal with Tommy Pham? Why isn't he in a Padres uniform yet? Can't even speak. Talk about that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Exhibition game, final one of the season for the Padres. Today, they lost to the Mariners 7-6. Doesn't matter, though. Their home opener is this Thursday, Petco Park, 1:10 first pitch. Darvish on the mound for the Padres. The rest of the rotation for the Padres. You have Joe Musgrove on Friday, and then weather permitting, we have Dylan Cease on Saturday, Michael King on Sunday, and Matt Waldron on Monday. Moving over to the Aztecs. They are in Boston right now. They're getting ready for their Sweet 16 matchup with the Uconn Huskies, a rematch of last year's national championship game. This Thursday, 4 p.m. will be our pregame show, followed by tip-off at 4:39. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/printbig for details. Print more, save more at Staples. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Jon has officially landed in Boston with the Aztecs. They are there. They'll have a practice tomorrow, and then Thursday's the game. So really no waiting for this thing to go down on Thursday, which I'm okay with. I kind of like. I don't want to wait. I'm not a waiter. I don't like waiting. I want things to just happen. Very impatient. So this thing getting going on Thursday. It's one of the first games of the day. I love it. Let's go.
I'd rather have Thursday, Saturday, anyways, if we would win.
That is true. I like that.
Looking ahead a little bit, but
right.
Got to plan my week out.
Exactly. Now it's can't look past UConn by any stretch.
Well, I'm not. I'm just saying in the hypothetical, you
Right.
know, I would rather work Thursday, Saturday opposed to like a Friday, Sunday.
So this has nothing to do with the Padres, but dude, weddings are expensive.
No ass.
So they are. I mean, it's ridiculous. We got our quote today.
Yeah, that drive through Elvis Chapel don't look so bad now, does it?
You know what, Brent? You are 100% right about that. We should have taken advantage of Las Vegas when we were there. But no, like, the tuxes and the desserts.
You're gonna rent the tux, right? You're not
Yeah,
gonna
no,
buy it.
I'm renting the tux. Which, by the way, I got lucky because like I went to Men's Warehouse. Shout out Men's Warehouse, and because they do like a million weddings. There's always these deals. It's great that I'm the groom because the groom gets a $250 off coupon for his tuxedo.
The groomsmen can go to hell, but you get a discount.
I get a discount. I'm the guy, right? I'm the groom. I get the big discount. So I essentially got my tux for free. So that's a major plus there. But it's all the other stuff, dude. Like we got a quote today for the desserts. By the way, the desserts at the wedding, Brent, they're going to be fantastic. They are, they were easily my favorite part of wedding season for me was when we were trying the desserts out.
Yeah.
Fantastic desserts.
Can you tell us what they are?
I can. So what we're doing is.
Oh, and I just remembered. I promise I'll reply to your wedding invitation.
Yeah, you better reply.
This
Aaron's
week.
going to kill you. So what we have is like a traditional cake, right? A little 2-tier cake, not very big, but Aaron's mom really wants us to have a cake. So we're getting a cake.
Well, you kind of need a cake.
True. I was fine if we didn't have a cake, but like my mom and Aaron's mom, they're very traditional.
Oh yeah.
Which is totally fine. I understand it. And so
you don't
like,
have to get like a 3-story cake or anything. We just a normal cake.
Normal cake. We're getting a little 2-tier cake.
Are you gonna put it in the freezer and leave it in there for 30 years?
The top of it, we will.
Okay.
Well, we'll eat it next year. Like we'll save it for the next year and then we'll eat it. So we got this little 2-tier cake, and the bottom layer is marble cake with chocolate mousse filling, and then the top layer. This is Aaron's pick. It's like an almond cake with like a macchiato filling. Trust me, it tastes. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like a poppy seed muffin, with like.
Sounds like a caramel macchiato.
Kind of, but it's like almost like that a little bit. And the cake itself tasted to me like a poppy seed muffin, but not as like pronounced poppy seed flavor. So it's really with like buttercream frosting, delicious. For the guests, what we did is we got an assortment of desserts. So we got little s'mores tarts with graham cracker crust, chocolate mousse, and roasted marshmallows. We got 2 dozen of those. And then we got this chocolate espresso tarts, 2 dozen of those. We got regular sugar cookies, I love the sugar cookies.
Everyone at your wedding is going to be all hyped up on sugar and caffeine.
Pretty much. Sugar cookies, can't go wrong with cookies.
No.
2 dozen of those. And then we got 4 dozen mini cupcakes.
And that's just Rich's table.
Yeah, exactly. We got the red velvet with the cream cheese frosting.
Okay.
And then the vanilla with just regular vanilla frosting. And then we got the chocolate truffle brownie cake pops. 2 dozen of those. And you do not want to know how much all of this costs.
Probably not.
You don't want to know. It's going to be a lot. And it's not just like the desserts. That's the thing. Because it's one thing. Oh, just buy the desserts. No. You have to think about the setup. You have to think about like the dessert table. You have to think about renting the things to put on the dessert. It's not just you get the cake and you get the cupcakes and there you go. Because you're going to be getting ready. Like I'm going to be getting ready for the wedding. Aaron's going to be getting ready for the wedding. All the parents, the family, like they're all going to be dealing with getting ready. They're not going to be dealing with setting up everything. So you need to hire someone to set it up. You need to hire like rentals for the cupcakes to be put on. You're going to need to hire a cake thing to have the cake be put on. Like I'm finding out. I mean, I'm glad I'm never going to have another wedding again. That's great that like Aaron's it. She's the one. And I told her that the other night. We're both looking at each other. We're like, we're first of all, we're never getting divorced, but we're also never having another wedding again, which is awesome because that is it's just very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening. Luckily, her parents are fantastic and they've helped us out a lot. But the stuff that me and her are taking care of, it's like, ugh. Like the other night, Brent, I bought this neon sign that's going to be put behind us at the wedding when we sit down, and it says the Russells on it. Yeah, $160, no big deal.
You can put that in your house though afterwards.
I mean, just like
That could be your new background for the wrap-up show.
yeah, it probably will be. We it's gonna be cool. It's just by the time it's over, we'll be completely broke. So no big deal.
You remind me of, I think there's like a Tide commercial, or like there's this couple and they're like, the wife's like, oh, having triplets is, and the husband just goes, expensive, and she looks at him, she's like, I was gonna say is challenging, and he's like, yeah,
No,
that too.
The husband's right. Expensive, definitely expensive. Now, Erin's the favorite child. She's the firstborn. So, and she's also the first to get married of the three kids. So, like, we got lucky there. Because if she was a middle child and she was the second, we'd be doing this thing, like you said, in Vegas. The dad would be like, wait, how much do you need for this wedding? Like, no, we're not doing that. But it's a lot, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be fun. And so it's just very eye-opening. If you're out there, just whenever you get married, make sure that you only are getting married one time. I know there's a lot of divorce rates in this country, but
I think that's most people's goal. I don't think they walk down the aisle and like, all right, I give it about 2 months.
Just be,
we'll be back.
Like 100%, 150% sure about who you are marrying, because those wedding costs, they will bite you in the ass for sure. Didn't even get to Tommy Pham in this segment. That's okay. Tommy Pham, why isn't he a Padre? That's pretty much what I was going to talk about. Coming up next, my back page. Stay with us. All right, coming up next, a famous fast food place and famous donut place are combining forces. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jim, John is back tomorrow from his hotel room in Boston. We'll have a normal show tomorrow, 3 to 6. And then Thursday, we'll have a different type of show from 1 to 4. So Padres game on at 1 to 4? Yes, it's on at 1 o'clock, everybody. We know that. But we're turning it into a watch party. So come on down to the Blind Burrow on Thursday. If you're not going to Petco for opening day, that's fine. It's already sold out. But if you want to be downtown, come hang out with us at the Blind Burrow. Got some pretty cool giveaways that we're going to have. Got a Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead that we're going to be giving away. So we start at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Fletch is going to join me. John's going to join me from Boston. And then we get you ready for Aztecs Uconn rematch of the national title game last year. 4 o'clock pregame, 4:39 tip-off. It's just going to be a fantastic day here in San Diego, sports-wise, with the excitement of the Padres opening up their season at home, and then San Diego State versus UConn. I mean, if the stars align right, Brent, and you get a Padres win versus the Giants on Thursday, followed by an Aztec upset of UConn, you have to put Thursday down as one of the better sports days in San Diego history. If that happens.
Real quick off the text line before you get to your back page. You can only hope for this at your wedding, Jim. I got married at the Love Chapel in Lake Tahoe, Nevada side, by a dude billing himself as Dr. Raymond L. Love.
Oh, nice.
He played an Elvis song to set the mood, and he was wearing this, the best part. He was wearing tangerine-colored leather slip-on shoes. That's what John needs to wear. We need to get John a pair of tangerine-colored leather slip-on shoes.
Well, you know, he is getting a tux for the wedding because he's a part of the group,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so it would be cool if I like gave him like a bright yellow shirt. And,
Yeah, make him look like a big road cone.
well, the problem is Aaron would murder me. That would be
that's true.
not. I could not get away with that even if I tried. All right, Brent, let's get to it. So, I mean, we like McDonald's, right? McDonald's, if you had to pick, what's your favorite fast food place? I know we don't go to fast food much often anymore. Me neither. But like, if you had to pick one, which one would you go to? You're like Taco Bell, Wendy's.
Probably one of those two. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before they made their switch to their bigger, juicier burgers,
Mhm.
I would have said McDonald's. But I haven't had a burger since they made that switch.
For what they put the onions in it?
Yeah. I've stuck to pretty much breakfast sandwiches and nuggets.
I like McDonald's. I like their quarter pounders because their quarter pounders
That
actually,
used to be my favorite burger.
their quarter
They had the
pounder
monster burger
is
from Carl's
actually
Jr.
like okay, I know we're gonna say like healthy for you. Like if you just asked for a quarter pounder with that's it, just the meat, it's actually like healthy meat.
Yeah.
Because it's grass fed meat grilled. It's not like microwaved, and it's fresh off the grill. Now when they put like all the ketchup in the bun and the salt and the cheese and everything on that, then it becomes like ugh. But
Where's the
still
fast food restaurant where they just cook it in the microwave?
Yeah, a couple places. I don't know. Anyway, so McDonald's. My point was I'm getting to McDonald's here. McDonald's and Krispy Kreme. They're partnering where Krispy Kreme donuts will be at all McDonald's locations by the end of 2026. McDonald's plans to sell Krispy Kreme donuts at all 13,000 plus locations across the U.S. by the end of 2026. The rollout will start in the second half of this year, and it will take about 2.5 years to add Krispy Kreme to McDonald's nationwide. And like you brought up during one of the breaks, Brent, good point. How long before they make a Krispy Kreme burger?
Yeah, with donuts for buns.
Right,
Or a breakfast sandwich. Mike Usher is like, hey, how about a breakfast sandwich? I was like, yes.
Because you know what's going to happen?
Better.
People are going to order the quarter pounder, just regular meat, nothing, just the meat patty. Then they're going to order 2 Krispy Kreme donuts. Boom, right there.
Making themselves. Yeah.
Another story I will get to before we get out of here. A Luke Skywalker action figure with a visible lightsaber that was sold in 1978 for $1.99, sold in an auction for $40,000 the other day.
That's about right.
$40,000.
Well, those things all depend on the lightsaber because some of them came with them and some came with. It's kind of like the Boba Fett that has the work hat pack that they discontinued and make like that.
This is the one that's attached to Luke.
That are the Jawa with the felt cape. It's worth like $1 billion.
Yeah. So if you kept that action figure in 1978, congratulations, $40,000. It is yours. Thank you to everyone out there for listening today. Bryce Miller for joining us. Thank you. Not thanking John because he's not here in Boston. We'll talk to John tomorrow. We'll join his own show starting at 3 p.m. Until then, safe rest of the night, everybody. You're listening to San Diego Sports.